Welcome to another episode of Positivity. I'm excited to welcome today Mrs. Shaina Keren, one of the most successful business coaches and business women in our community. Met her at many different shows where obviously she gave speeches and was part of panels at these shows. And learning a little bit from her story was basically that she got so obsessed with helping successful business owners, right, that she turned it literally into a living where she can't stop doing what she loves, which is to help others, and she wants to teach others to do that and apply that in their own life. Like, find your strength and find something that you love and you can't stop doing, and start doing that. So I'm very excited to have you on and to get into that energy of following your dreams. I think it's really, really impressive what you've accomplished.
Thank you. I think you're a good example of someone who looks like you're doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit more about your journey, like how you got into this and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, so I've been doing this since 2017 full time. When I started out, it was really from dissatisfaction with my own job. I was like every 2 years approximately getting to a point where I was like sick of what I was doing and switching jobs. So I was kind of trying to stay in the field that I had gotten a degree in, which was special ed. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, I worked with every age kids and every specialty. I went from being a reading specialist to teaching high school students, working with early intervention. And I was like trying so hard, but I was like stuck in this zone until I was like, okay, we have to figure this out. And I figured there must be people or books that could teach you how to do this. So
Yeah.
I go to Barnes and Nobles and I read every book on the shelf. I go to the library and like most of them are terrible. And finally, and I'm like reading through these books and I'm working through these exercises and what color is your parachute, and you're answering all these insane questions about yourself and coming up with like just lists of paper that are like facts about yourself that are completely useless. And what should I do? How should I make money?
Right.
And so I finally found this book called The Pathfinder, and I started working through it, and I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, this makes sense. And from reading the book, I understood that there's this assessment that you can take. And I reached out to the company, and it was like a $500 test. And anyone who I mentioned to thought I was completely insane. But I was like, you know what? I know I tried all the free resources, like every single one of the free resources. I'm going to take this test. And I did. And for the first time in my life, I got like a printout in black and white of what was going on in my head and what like how my brain works to understand that I wasn't lazy, it wasn't crazy, I wasn't like, there was nothing wrong with me. I simply had like a very interesting mix of like aptitudes. And when I was trying to do this like typical thing, it really was not a good fit. And like for the first time, I stopped questioning like if there was something like wrong with me. Like, yeah, if you put a turtle in an Olympic race or whatever, like if you, put a fish in the wrong environment or anyone, like it's not going to work out really well. And it's going to keep being like, why am I struggling? Why am I having such a hard time? Why does everyone else look like they're enjoying themselves and I'm not? But like people find themselves in the wrong job and they just assume that they're meant to be unhappy. And I'm really not willing to be unhappy. So.
Right. I love that. That is amazing. I can speak for myself that I notice this pattern with me with the things that I do, and I constantly need something new, a new adventure to keep me going, whether it's within my same business or within a different career, whether it's the podcast or vlogs or now selling merchandise, whatever. Like it keeps on evolving. So I can definitely I agree with you that there's like burnout is real and not feeling fulfilled is real. First of all, I have an interesting question. Then we'll get into the actual how somebody can find their journey. But how do you think it's different between men and women? In my opinion, it's like a man, they usually know kind of what they want to do. It's a lot easier for them. Women in general, they're like, I feel like they have a much stronger desire to actually do something and open like a business or take a successful job. But then they also have another part of them that doesn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, doesn't you would know better?
Oh, this
but
is
I know
such a
that
good topic.
I know that like about 40% of our listeners are women, and especially if there's a woman guest on. So if you can talk about that to validate these people and the differences.
So I started off thinking that I was gonna help like people who were 10 years younger than me, right? I was like 28 when I started, and I was like, I'm gonna help the people who are my 18-year-old self that spent 10 years struggling, trying to figure it out. And the only social media that I knew of or was comfortable with was LinkedIn, because I had it for a job. So I started posting on LinkedIn just because like I had to write and share somewhere, and that was the platform that I knew of. And it's free. You don't have to pay for a website or anything. And then people who started PMing me and messaging me and booking me were mostly men. And I was completely shocked. Not only were they men, they were usually like men in their 30s or 40s. And I was like, okay, like, let's try this. Like, I don't know, someone's ready and they want to work with me. And I like tried to push them away, and then like, people want to work with you. Okay, like, let's try it. And it was working. And what I realized was that, at least in the community that I'm working in, that men are going to be much more career focused. They have much more of a, like stress, that they're the ones who are the breadwinners. They're the ones who, I think for a woman, if she loses her job or she changes her job, obviously it makes a very big impact on her, but it doesn't affect her identity the same way it affects a man. And so when a man is stuck, like he's, ready to usually invest in it a lot faster than a woman, because he has that level of responsibility, and it's so much part of his identity. Now, over the years, that's balanced out. I would still say more of my clientele is men than women. The women who end up working with are those who are kind of like me. Maybe they grew up in a generation where they plan to work. Like, even if, like, I had a stay-at-home mom for like my whole childhood, but it was like, we're in the generation where, like, of course you're going to go get a career. It wasn't a choice. It was just, were you going to do speech or special ed? Really, was your choice, you know? And they've been working, and then they, like me, like 10 years in, and they like got to the top, and they're just not happy, or they're not making enough money. Or women who have been professionals all along, and they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, they're in a new stage of life, and they're like, okay, my head is above water now. I don't have little kids that I'm taking care of.
So I want to, wow.
Yeah, like like for a woman, it's like they're okay with, there's so many other parts of their life that are meaningful, that define who they are, that their career doesn't necessarily, for those maybe 20 years that they're raising a family, they could just have a job, and then they're like, okay, now I want a career.
Right.
So that's the kind of conversations I have, very different with men and women.
Right. So it's very interesting. I'm going to go into something very. The first time I went to a business event was Mordechai Longer. Shout out to him. He's an amazing person.
Yeah.
And he's also an inspiration, how he does what he does, and the shows and everything. He has a show coming up.
I'm going to be there. I'm running a women's panel. I'm really excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm running a men's panel, I think, or something.
Look
Whatever.
at that.
Look at that.
Yeah, with Hillel Fold and Shmuel Rice.
It's August 21?
21st, Wednesday. Yeah.
August 21, Wednesday. I'm giving him a shout out because he's an amazing person. So my question is an interesting question. I arrived to the event, and I saw a lot of Hasidish women there. And I personally did not know how to even speak to Hasidish women. Like, it was very, very new for me. Like, I'm a new entrepreneur. I was like a few months into my business, Weber Media, doing social media for clients. And like, hi, hello, what do I say? Like, I didn't know, is everybody here married? Are they all single? Am I even allowed to speak to a married woman? So I don't know if this is off topic or not, but how does it feel? How do you think, what's the difference between respecting someone, a woman, or a person of the opposite gender, and how do you find it working with the opposite gender? Do you think it's beneficial for a man to have a woman coach, and vice versa? So
excellent
if you can
question.
touch on this subject.
Gender is a very big dynamic, and it's really interesting.
I'm asking it because for me, a Chussid, growing up, we were taught nothing about this subject. And my therapist was like, Ellie, go explore, go find out what's the right thing. Because I asked her, like, what's the...
Interesting. It's funny that you mentioned therapy, because that's what came to that's what came to mind. So there's first of all, I think the difference of the Litvish woman and Hasidish woman, not so much, but there's a bit of a difference. Like, for both of them, I think that I would say the Hasidish community, I was shocked when I went to events and found like women like very Hasidish, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize you guys worked. Like,
right.
no offense,
wow.
but like I thought you guys.
Well,
like,
is it that Litvish women, is it more common officially that they
So
work?
it depends which Hasidish community you're talking about.
Okay.
You know, there's going to be a very big difference, like, you know, in Vishnitz and Bells versus Satmar, and like some, you know what I mean? And like, I've gotten to know like the differences. You know, some Hasiduses, I think, really have an emphasis on the woman raising a family, and other Hasiduses have a strong concept of kolal. So that really like makes a difference.
Oh, so then she has to work, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you want to cut this part out, but like,
Right.
it's. I think if a woman from a Hasidic community is working past the age, the first 5 years, past the age when she has like enough of a reason that I'm managing a family and I have enough home responsibilities that I don't have the time now, or we're going to be paying for a babysitter, so it's not going to be worth it, then I think she's like the top whatever percent, very small percent of people, because it's not common. There would be nothing wrong with her saying like, okay, I have 2 babies now, I'm going to stop working.
Yeah.
So if she continues working, then she's probably really motivated, really entrepreneurial, really driven. You know, obviously there could be a bunch of other circumstances. Maybe her husband's learning and she whatever. Maybe she comes from an entrepreneurial family, one of those families where everyone works. But likely, if you ask a woman like that, she's going to say her mother stays home and all her sisters and sister-in-law stay home, and she's an anomaly. Now, in the Litvish community, we were all raised, like in the Beis Yaakov, Latzik community where I'm coming from, we were raised that ideally your husband's going to be learning. So you're going to get a degree as soon as you graduate, you know, and you're going to be making money. And then it's expected that you're going to continue working.
Well, I never thought about it. It's such a simple thing that you're saying, but I never thought about it that way. How it's okay. So when you got to the first show and you saw Hasidic women owning businesses,
so those Hasidic women they impress me so much because, first of all, like I think that they've had less exposure in their life, you. So the fact that they've learned to manage these fine lines, like a lot of them will only, you know, won't use their first name, or are very careful with how they dress, and they set up like a lot of boundaries. And I find them to be like so business focused, and for them like, there's nothing else. It's just business, right? And I hope as a frum woman, I strive to do the same, where it's like it's not personal, it's just business. Now, I'm going to say like personally for me, like therapy, where it's more of a personal relationship, I would always stick, and I have always stuck with the same gender. So like to me, like that's like a deeper relationship, and it's important to me. Like I wouldn't see a male therapist; I would only see a female therapist. For career coaching, it's not a long-term relationship. We're meeting not more than 2-3 times typically, and you're coming for a consultation because I have an expertise that I can help you with. I always invite a spouse to the session or parents. So it's like open, like, you know, first of all, you're welcome to meet on Zoom. You don't have to come in person. And you're welcome to bring whoever you want with you. And I find particularly discussing Hasidic men bring their wives is very helpful. Yeah,
I love that. Your answer is very simple, that they're not hiring you for the gender, they're hiring you for your experience.
Correct. Now, in the past, when people said, "Oh,"
you see, for me, until now, my question was directed because of gender, because that's where my focus was. Like,
interesting.
Like, because of growing up and nobody teaching me anything around it, it was like, when I was thinking about a coach or a consultant that is a woman, I was like, oh, but she's a woman consultant. It should have been she's a consultant that's also
happens to be a
woman.
Like I'm not.
So thanks for clarifying that.
I would say like there is. I'm not going to say that working with a man and a woman is the same. Like men and women are very different. People who separate, you know, their lives very strictly that way, I think there's a lot of benefit that way. You know, for me, I've never found it to be a problem. But like I very much respect a man, you know, or I'll sometimes get a call from a wife who will say, you know, I'm looking for a male, you know, career coach for my husband. Do you have anyone? And until now, I really didn't have people to recommend. Now that I ran this training and I started leading a program through Rockport Institute where I got trained, we just certified a group of 25 career coaches through Rockport.
Wow.
And probably half of them are men. So now when I get that question, I have a man in Monsey, I have 2 men in Lakewood, I have, you know, Barry Ackerman is doing it, like, you know, who probably people know from LinkedIn, David Weinberger, Yosef Perelson, Nick Davidson, who's a fabulous business consultant in Monsey. So like Rabbi Victor Goldsberger, he's in Minneapolis, he's helping people who are like Kolal exit strategy, brilliant. So I have so many, I'm not even mentioning all of them, but like so many great male coaches that I can recommend now. And I respect people who prefer that choice.
Right. Okay, so I have way too many questions for you. First of all, I'm going to say this, I'm not going to ask it, so that way I avoid the question. You're a coach and a consultant, but you also teach others to become a business consultant or a business coach?
Yeah, so I don't call it business coaching. I'm going to respond, even though it wasn't a question. I don't call myself a business consultant. I call myself like a on LinkedIn I have CPO, Chief People Officer, because I do work with businesses and I don't get involved in the finances. I only get involved, or in how the operational aspects, logistics, like stay out of that, which a business coach needs to overview everything.
Okay.
I'm just the people. So anything to do with hiring, retention, who you're looking for, do you have the right people in the right, in the right seat? I work with a lot of CEOs when they're just not sure, like, I'm not having fun anymore. Okay, what are you good at? What's fun for you? What should you do? What should you give away?
Right. Okay. Awesome. I like that. That's very good. So that gives us clarity on what you do. One of the questions that I wrote down actually this morning on my walk was, I want you to define the difference between the Hasidish drive in business. No, because some people, they're like, I remember meeting a person, and I met him in Williamsburg in his office. It's a beautiful office with a nice view and lots of tables and lots of women working there. And somewhere he mentions that, I live in Borough Park. I got married to Borough Park a few years ago. So I asked him, so why is your office here in Williamsburg? And he says, what do you mean? He says. So people find that there is a difference between, obviously, first of all, maybe they categorize it in Hasidism. Maybe this, like you said, this Hasid, that Hasid, but people find a difference between the Hasidish woman, and I would say maybe some people say there's a certain healthy chutzpah that they have, or like I don't know, you would know better. What do you think is the difference between a Hasidish woman in business and a non-Hasidish woman? I mean, you described the upbringing difference, but do you think that it actually plays out differently in the long run?
Just specifically with women, you're asking?
Yeah. And then you can talk about men also, by the way.
Well, yeah, no,
men, I know how different it is. So yeah, you can talk about.
I feel
men.
like we
but
need like
it's basically Hasidish
comedian
versus Litvish, and what's better or what's different, not better.
Listen,
what's different?
Hasidim have a lot of rules to follow in their life, and so in business they have none.
Ah, wow, interesting.
And
that can be very healthy, I think, right?
Yeah, they don't even.
Is that where you're going?
Well, kind of. They don't even know what they don't know, so they're not afraid.
Right.
Like, they didn't realize that if you don't have a business degree, you have no business doing it. They're like,
wow.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a property. I liked the property. I got some money. I bought the property. I sold the property. I made money.
Right.
I'm going to do it again.
And now they're doing a lot of community events where they're teaching the simple law.
They're brilliant.
And I saw this ad yesterday. It said, "Weil das nicht gewiss, meint nicht am Meg." You know Yiddish?
No.
Because you didn't know doesn't mean that you were allowed to.
Yeah.
Because many people say, "Oh, I didn't know, I'm not allowed to." But because you didn't know doesn't mean you're allowed to.
Exactly.
So you're right. I mean, you're going in a very good direction.
I think so. It depends like where you go on the spectrum. Like the more you go to the modern Orthodox, like even if the guy could have been an entrepreneur, he has to become a dentist. Right?
Oh, well.
Okay. Right? Like he doesn't even know that he'll know once he opens a practice, he realizes he's very good at it, whatever, but like you kind of like you have to go to college, right?
Yeah.
Then depending where you live, like I could give you a whole segment on Lakewood versus Brooklyn versus Muncie or out of town or in Israel, but like I think, it depends where you're talking about, but in the Litvish, you're more like educated population, it's kind of like they need a path to follow. Right?
Right, a career and obviously a degree.
Right, so I became a lawyer, I became a this or that, and then when you go to the more yeshivish, which gets closer to Hasidish, the plan is to not have a plan, right? Wow. In Shidduchim, right, is the boy a earner or a learner? He has no plan, that's his plan, right?
Wow.
And like we're not thinking about parnasa until we need the money, and then we're going to figure it out, but a guy should just have his head in the safer until it's time to think about it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting philosophy, which I get to see the difficult ending, right?
Yeah.
When the wife is working, they have the fifth kid, they have their mortgage, and then the guy is like, I really want my wife to be able to take a break, and I'm not sure where to get started because I put together a resume. She put together a resume for me, and then I got a job for $40,000. Like our budget's already $150, like, right?
So what do you do with this guy? Okay, so now walk us through your day-to-day life.
If he's
that is a huge problem. Okay, if it's Hasidish, go on.
If he's, forget about the Hasidish likfit. It really depends how much confidence the person has, how much they believe in themselves, how much of a self-starter they are. I don't think there's like anyone who can or can't be an entrepreneur, right? Some people obviously are higher risk-taking abilities built in, which I do think Hasidim in their genes are bigger risk takers.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like I think like a Litvish person is more like wants to see the plan, right? And they're going to be like, I'm not going to spend $100,000 like on something if I don't know that I'm guaranteed to get it back, when I'm going to get it back, how I'm going to back, and how I'm going to pay it back, right? From what I see, and this is totally just very stereotyped, but you know, there's a lot more risk taking in the Hasidic community, right? I think because they have to, right? I think it's like you can't go to school. You can't work until you're married. Right. You can't do this.
It's a survival mechanism.
So I also think that the problem is that we see a lot of successful Hasidic entrepreneurs. But I think that those people, they're working so hard despite so many odds that doesn't matter where they would be born, in what family, in what culture, they basically were given zero to prepare for business. And they're so smart and they're so entrepreneurial and so savvy and such high risk tolerance. Doesn't matter what, that's the top 1%. They would succeed no matter what. Wow. Which I think isn't fair to everyone else because they are like normal people who are smart, hardworking, good people who need a little bit of training, who need a little bit of direction, right? And that's the whole middle, you know, of just regular people who need a little bit of guidance, right?
So it's so interesting what you just said because I bumped into this YouTube video and this guy was explaining why Jews have more money or something like that, whatever. The history of Jewish people.
Was he Jewish?
Yes.
Okay,
because
good.
he spoke us the whole time. So
okay, even though I have no business talking about Hasidim, it's just my perspective.
I like to hear it, and it's so far very accurate. So I heard that the reason, you know, you mentioned Hasidim with a little bit of survival, they're more like this. I know that he said this person said that the reason why so many of our businesses don't depend on a location, it's either real estate or services or stuff like that, is because we were many times like chased out of where we lived.
We know it's always temporary.
Yes. So and I noticed, and I was like, oh my God, like my business is that way. Like I have 10 people working remote. My business, if it doesn't work out in New York, I can move it to California.
When a Jew opens a business, he thinks, well, if there's a world war and we're all killed, then what could I do that I'll still be able to do?
Exactly. Yes. So that's very sad, but it's also a reality which puts us ahead of the game because we're not tied to a certain scenario. We're very, like you're a coach. You can go today to Saudi Arabia and live there and coach people over there or consult. No, you know what I'm saying? Like your business doesn't depend on this place. So, okay, so that's very, very interesting so far, the conversation. Now, this is the biggest question. The people that are, because you said, I think everybody can be an entrepreneur. And I don't think everybody can be an entrepreneur like you are and dealing with so many things or even like I am with dealing with multiple companies and Weber Media, full team and clients. It is a lot. I'm not going to lie. So I used to say everybody can do it. Now I don't think everybody can do it. But not everybody can be an entrepreneur, but everybody can be entrepreneurial. And this is tremendous, especially in 2024 with social media, with WhatsApp. Everybody can bake peanut chews in their kitchen and start selling them, right?
Oh
everybody can.
I love it. I love this new laundry company. You heard of it?
No, they pick up the laundry and wash it.
You could like Uber for laundry. Like Mort Fertel has this company. It's called Poplin. That's what it's called. Okay. I heard about it on Yael Trash's podcast, and I tried it out just because it seems so cool. And it's the first time that the labor industry you can do from home. Mm-hmm. Right, you can.
So what's the service?
The service is like Uber. It's like a company, a washing machine, like a laundromat that doesn't own any washing machines. You could be a lady home with a baby, and people. You press on the app. You could accept laundry within this many miles. You pick up the basket of laundry. You take it home, wash it, fold it beautiful for $25. Leave it on the person's front lawn, and you get paid.
That is insane.
Like anybody can do that. Like he said to people, I think can make like if they do it full time.
Yeah, if you do it a few loads a day, you can make
$5,000 a month, like a full income.
Sure, it's $200-300 a day, 5 days a week.
Doing laundry, you can do that with kids at home. So like there's.
I mean, you don't know whose underwear you're washing, but I get it.
They send it back though. It's not like it's like nice. It's like it smells nice. They package it nicely. It's all wrapped up in nice plastic.
Who is they? The person
whoever
that
your
takes
laundry
it
person
on,
is.
right.
You don't know.
Oh, it's like anonymous also.
It's
you
like
don't
Uber.
see a
You don't know
profile.
who's driving the car. Well, you see the profile, but like unless you stand outside on your porch for 4 hours, you're not going to know who picked up your laundry.
Wow, this is insane.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna
like
try. What's the name?
Poplin.
Poplin.
Yeah. You'll get your first load off.
Really?
Your first load free. It's amazing.
This is insane. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a cleaning lady that does my lawn, and she's great. But if for
Same.
some reason,
Same, but if you have some extra loads, like under the 9 days or whatever,
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah.
it's a cool service. I think it's great for like a young couple or someone who doesn't necessarily need full-time cleaning help, but you know. Anyways, but your question was about can everyone be entrepreneurial, and I think that's a very good distinction. Now, I don't
Okay.
think that everyone should be an entrepreneur, but if people are like, oh, I can't do it, like I don't think that's true. I think anyone can take a skill and start something on the side. The way I started my business was actually with a goal of, you know, I was running a daycare actually, and my own. I was like, okay, I'm sick working for people. Maybe
Yeah.
if I run my own business, but I have a special ed, I still wasn't ready to give up the degree. So okay, let me open a daycare center and whatever. So I was running this daycare in my basement, and I was at the 2-year mark, so I was getting bored. So I started a resume writing service. And
is 2 years the official board mark?
well, now I've been 2 years is a board mark for almost anything.
Okay.
That's relationships, right? Like usually, like you know, the honeymoon phase they say lasts for your brain like can get engaged in something new, and by the end of 2 years you're done with
Well,
it.
you're a psychologist, so you bring
No, I'm
that
not.
to the table. Social work, whatever.
No, just educator. No,
Oh,
not
okay,
at all.
just educator.
Not at all.
Okay,
But
cool.
but so 2 years is like I found the max amount of time that you could do something that's the only part that's exciting
Yeah.
is the 0 to 10. They're like, oh, this is new and shiny and interesting.
Right. I
But once
understand.
it gets to the hard work,
I
you know?
didn't know that, but I noticed it in the past. For me, I only kept a job for 2 years.
Yeah, and
then
by the end of the first year, it's not fun anymore.
Right.
And by the last year, you're just kind of like showing up, like looking at the clock, right?
Right.
Like, you know, you already like got the skill. It's not
Right.
fun anymore. You're not learning anything new at that point. So I think that the entrepreneurial thing is like anyone can do a side business. So my goal was to make $1,000 a month on the side. I challenged myself writing resumes. I was
Yeah.
charging $75 for a resume,
Oh,
and
wow.
took me a couple of months to make the first 1,000.
Yeah, you're a good writer.
And then, so that was a skill that like it was something, you know, I took this course of like how to make extra money on the side. And it was like, write down all the skills that you have. And I did. I was like, okay, I write resumes for people all the time. Turn into a business, $15, and add in the community connections. Had a business. And then that's how I started. Okay, I can make $1,000 a month. Cool. After a few months I was doing that. Maybe I could double it. Maybe I could triple it. And then it evolved until I decided, you know, went along with where I was going in my career, and it turned into this.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
like I could have also stayed with that very happily had I not
Wow.
been the kind of person who wanted to run something like what I'm running, like just make another $1,000 a month. And
Right.
everybody I believe has a skill. You want to make an extra $1,000 a month? You have like you can start a business.
Right.
There's so many ways to make money. You're not limited by your day job, even if you're the kind of person who likes the stability and structure of a day job.
Right. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I think when I tell people when they ask me what should I do, I say, ask yourself what you want to do. Like it's very simple. What do you want to do? And then they have all these type of answers, you know, money, and I'm not sure, and whatever. I'm not sure is not the answer to my question. It's the question to your own question. Like I'm not sure what I want to do. So keep on asking yourself that question till you find something that you can do. But I think that there is like a lot of, I think the programming is a little bit off, and I understand why, because the system wants, and when I say system, I mean the American system. They want people to work jobs. They need employees. Everybody needs employees. So it's they're not going to root and explain to you in school how to open a business and make your own money.
Well, no, the problem isn't like what the American system wants today. What the American economy needs today, I'm not an expert on it, but I could say that schools were set up for when most people were going to have factory jobs. Most people were going to get a job when they, you know, graduated college and keep it until they're 65. So we just haven't changed the educational system. The educational system's really good if you're trying to create factory workers. We just haven't changed it in like 50, 75 years.
Oh, that's what you mean. Like, so, yeah, I just heard that they teach you now in school, in public school, like how to be a YouTuber and how to do social media. Like, yeah, because that's the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I do think for us growing up, we don't get the skills of being an entrepreneur. We get the skills of holding a job, saving money. That's like how we're taught.
If you get that, that's great. I think most people don't even have a conversation with their parents until it's like really time. Like, oh, what do you want to do? I mean, we ask a 5-year-old in a cute way, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if they say firefighter, we say amazing, right? And like, really? Like, that was the last time we discussed it until you're 18 and you're like, oh, okay, now we expect you to support yourself, to get married, hold down a job, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, you get these ridiculous answers, like follow your dreams, what's your passion? Not necessarily should you be doing what your passion or your dream is.
Right.
You should be doing what pays the bills, right?
Absolutely, right.
But I think that there's a limit to how much you could ask yourself, and I found that myself. Like, I could ask myself, I'm going to take all these quizzes and tests and know my personality and know my horoscope and know all the, you know what I mean, the zodiac signs, and you're still, there's still something missing between knowing what my skills are as they relate to careers and to jobs, and to knowing what job options there are. I mean, I knew I could be a teacher or something else.
Do you
similar.
educate people about the options that there are?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I tell people about careers that like,
so you're a career finder. I didn't know, like almost like a recruiter, not a recruiter. You're a career finder.
Well, I call it career consulting, and the consulting part more than the coaching part is, sometimes you just don't know what professions are out there.
Right.
And I find myself telling people, obviously some people want me to make up a magical profession that they never heard of that is going to be a perfect fit for them, and they can't believe that they never heard of this before. We don't make up new careers, but most people don't grow up in environments where they know a lot about job options, right? You grew up in school, so I mean, how many women become teachers because they went to school, so they know mothers, they know teachers, so you know what I mean?
So it's very interesting. Do you think my career matches my personality?
Well, let's assess you for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where I was going.
Good. So you clearly seem to be an extrovert. Would you say that? No, he's going to tell us he's an introvert. He hates people. After all this, he hates people.
I wouldn't say I hate people, but I definitely feel that way sometimes. So I know that I get my energy from being alone, and I get my fun from being out. Like it's kind of really both. But I wouldn't say I'm a total extrovert, because I know that after I am, let's say, at a show for a day, I need to be alone for a day.
Okay, I'm the same way, and I present like an extrovert at a show.
Right.
Right.
So the people like us are actually in reality, we're the introvert.
Yeah.
And because we're introverted, that's why we can go and be an extrovert. Versus that.
What do you mean? Because you're introverted, you can pretend to be an extrovert. An extrovert
Correct,
can't pretend to be an
because you got
introvert.
your energy when you were introverted.
Oh, meaning if you take care of yourself.
Correct. The extrovert technically doesn't even need the introvert.
Right.
So
to a certain extent, you take any extrovert, put them at a party that never ends. Eventually, they find a closet to hide in.
Maybe.
Right.
I don't even know that, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe yeah, maybe no.
Yeah. If you go make a big weekend, right? A lot of people. The introvert, couple hours in, finds a bed. Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Or quiet, or a hammock, or a corner that no one's gonna find them in. Read a book, relax, space out, meditate, just be, right? The extrovert will stay up all Friday night, wake up early in the morning, be with people, the meal, then the after meal, then the after meal, then the afternoon activity, and then the evening activity.
Right.
Give them Sunday, Monday. Eventually, they're going to be like, okay, give me a break. Right. Everybody gets to their point where they need a break, but an introvert isn't necessarily getting the recharge there. It's enjoyable. They like it, but the recharge is alone.
100%. Okay, so we established.
So you have an introverted extrovert. I think you have a kind of a nice mix.
Yeah,
right? I wouldn't call you a full introvert.
Right. And then, I do get energy from people, obviously. I mean.
Yeah.
So, okay.
No, there's a balance. You could be 40-60, you could, you know what I mean? Like very few people are 50-50, but it's kind of knowing your balance. And then if you're, even if you're 40-60, okay, if you got to 50-50, it's it's a little bit too much. You need to go balance that back out. And then the next area of like personality, right? And this isn't like a deep aptitude test. This is just like a, that we can't do like live, but we could do personality. So there's like people who are more down to earth, practical, in the here and now. And those are people who like tangible, they want to see a construction project go up. They want to see like, what did I do at the end of the day? And then there are the people who are more the intuitives, who are more futuristic, more potential, more possibility oriented. They don't need to see it today, more like think of a therapist. Yeah. Where, it's like they're using much more of like future, like kind of thinking. Would you say you're...
That's a very good question. I'm really going back and forth in my own head. I love doing things right away. Mm-hmm. So that for sure. but I definitely also have like future plans. I now have a full list, you know, in my
You have a 5-year
my
plan
note
for your
back.
life?
In my note, I have a 1 year plan. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Do I have to make a 5 year plan? Is that a healthy thing?
It depends
I
how
have goals for
how
the year.
futuristic you are.
I have goals for Rosh Hashanah. I have goals. I always
Right.
have goals. I said them. I have a.
Listen, for what you're doing, I don't know if this is a good blanket rule, but like what you're doing now, right? Like having YouTube channel, spending the time, you know, setting this
Yeah.
up, making this happen, seems to me pretty futuristic, right? Because it doesn't make money right now. It's
Oh.
kind of you're building an empire, right? It's
Thank
a
you,
very
yeah.
futuristic kind of a goal. So that means that you can see what's going to happen a year or 5 years down the line, and how
Yeah.
big of an audience you're going to have, and how that's going to be profitable, or
Yes.
whatever you plan to do
Yeah.
with it. So that part certainly seems to be more to the futuristic, like intuitive side of personality.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if
so
that's
we
a rule
established
because it's not a full assessment,
Yes,
but
pretty good.
that
Yeah,
seems
I agree
like
with
it.
that. Yeah, I can agree to that.
Then
yeah.
we have 2 more sections. So we have the emotion versus logic when you're making a
But
decision.
anybody can do this now at home, technically.
Anyone can do this. It's on my
As
website.
them-
Free
Oh,
quiz.
really?
Yeah,
That's
ShainaKeren.com. Click on free quiz. You'll get
Very nice.
full.
Yeah, we're gonna put the
a full
website in the
assessment.
description.
Yeah, you can take this. So then we have like when you make decisions. So it's not if you're an emotional person or a cold person, but it's when you're making a decision. You're buying a car. You know, you're deciding, you know, if you want this job or that job. So really feel this like in your body. Where do you go first? Do you go here or do you go here?
Oh wow.
Where's the first place that you go when you're making a decision?
Me here.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
that bad.
No.
Were you shocked that I answered
I was
that
surprised.
quickly?
I thought you were going to say that it's more emotion because you seem very passionate about what you do.
I follow
which
my
isn't-
emotion, but I
Okay.
go. The first place I am is here,
And then what?
and then I
So you're
usually
choosing
follow
what's a
my
typical
emotion.
example?
For a decision,
Yeah.
so let's say I'm deciding what I'm going to eat,
Okay.
or let's say I'm deciding a career change, right?
Okay.
Like somebody gave me an opportunity yesterday to do something that's in the public and whatever. To me, it was right away a game in the head. Like, what is this bringing me? Where is it going to go?
Okay, so you're doing
So
the,
yes.
the analysis.
The analysis, yeah.
Okay, what's going to make your decision though?
Okay, feeling, yeah. I think more feeling is gonna make
Yeah,
the decision.
no, I thought so.
Because at the end of the day, I didn't feel whatever he was presenting. So
You're listening to your heart.
Yeah.
Your head is doing its analysis.
Right.
You could be analytical, but still when you're making a decision, it's
Right.
does this feel right to me? Now,
Yeah.
obviously I'm simplifying it, but I'm going to guess more feeling just from having seen you professionally. Seems like you do what like feels right to you. You're passionate about what you do. You need to be engaged emotionally in what you do.
Yeah.
You need to feel like you're making a difference. Usually people who are like that, who have careers where like they want to feel directly like they're helping people, usually are more feelers.
yeah,
So that's my guess. And usually you have like the thinkers who are more of like the intellectuals, the lawyers, the people who like debating, who like arguing. I don't know if you're like that or not. And then we have the last category, which is the people, this is super obvious. Most people know if they're like this instantly. They're the people who love planning. They're people who hate planning.
hate planning.
Hate planning, exactly. So then if we put those letters together, we get, I'm still going to call you an extrovert.
Okay.
I don't know.
I get energy from extrovert, but I enjoy being introvert.
Yeah, so that means that you have a nice amount of introversion, but I wouldn't say that like you seem like you're outward focused in the world. You're thinking
Yes.
about what are other people
Absolutely.
interested in. Like you seem like your focus is very much on the people around you.
Yes, I agree.
So let's
Yeah.
say we had an E and then an N and then an F and a P. ENFP. Okay, so that's a personality type. Most ENFPs, there's a couple of very typical things about ENFPs. First of all, they're common clients of mine because they're people who get really passionate and excited about things. They usually get bored of things really quickly and they're always excited about the next project. They have a very hard time finishing things. Does that sound like you at all?
Finishing things.
Well, they're usually very good at like getting excited about a new project. Their biggest struggle is usually making it happen.
So it's possible that I had that, but now
You
that
can
I
overcome it.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now that I have like a team and a system and coaches and all these things,
Yeah.
nothing goes.
So ENFPs are
close.
like people that they like making a change in the world. Like the more introverted version of that personality, like the INFPs, are more likely to be like the coaches and the therapists and the people who are like one-on-one making a difference.
Oh, wow.
The ENFPs want to make like a global difference.
Right, like podcasts, vlogs.
They
and
want to like
social media.
influence,
Right.
educate, change
Yeah.
people's lives, but like in a much more like public way.
Right. So, just curious for the people that did this test.
Yeah.
Once I have my ENFP,
Yeah.
now what? Now I know that I'm more. What do I know now more than 5 minutes ago that can help me choose a career path?
Yeah, so not everything. You know you have a couple of clues. We know that we want a job that involves making a difference to people.
Okay.
We want a job that is kind of, you don't mind if it's futuristic. You like where there's future goals. Like you like when there's a project to work towards.
Or for my career, something that has a future.
Right,
okay.
right, but something futuristic. It kind of needs to be something that impacts people, or you're not going to feel like you're doing anything useful.
Wow.
And if there's too much structure, you're going to hate it, and you're not going to follow that structure very well.
Like I can't work a 9 to 5 ever.
Exactly.
Wouldn't work for me.
And also you need the rush of the spontaneous. Like you need to know that I'm going to wake up in the morning and it's going to be an adventure. Right? Like you never know what's going to. So those are clues. Now we don't know what your other skills are. We don't know how much money you want to make. We don't know like where you want to live or all those other things.
So you would factor that in as well?
We take everything into account. Yeah.
Right. So if I want to live in Muncie versus Lakewood, what difference does that make?
Not much.
I think the pay is a little bit more in Muncie.
No.
It's not? Less than Lakewood?
Lakewood has its own economic bubble, from what I see.
Oh, yeah?
Because there's young Jews opening business, hiring other young Jews that they trust for more money than they would get anywhere else in the world.
Oh, wow.
And like it's kind of like, a lot of it is like, kind of like when you hire families, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll pay them more because you want that person.
Right.
So the way business there is very different, and there's a big economy there that's not like necessarily things that you need an education for.
Right.
So if you're smart and ambitious and work really hard, it's not hard to move up.
Right.
Very different. In Muncie, people are more credentialed. They have official jobs. They drive to the city. Like,
oh, wow. And also the dynamics are different because over there you have more Litvish people, by the way, that are career driven more a little bit. And over here you have more, I would say, Hasidish, also Litvish people.
But there's a very large Litvish community here.
Yeah,
a lot of them are much more likely to be accountants, to be professionals. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, there's much more likely that they're going to have a professional career that they kind of thought about and chose.
Right. What's another factor that can help a person find their career?
So I like when people do testing, like aptitude testing.
Oh, what's that?
So aptitude testing is like, it's kind of like an IQ test.
Yeah.
And it tests like all these other factors. I'll show you a copy of what results look like.
Okay.
And we test like, there's something like really simple that we could test that is so sad that people don't check for it before they start a career. It's called spatial orientation. So if you want to go into anything physical, like anything in the construction field, anything in the medical field, you kind of need to be really good at visualizing something in 3 dimension.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like if you're a dentist and you can't visualize what's happening under that tooth,
yeah.
you're going to mess up.
Wow.
Right? If you're in construction or electricity and you can't visualize, wait, if this wire starts here and ends there, how much is in between, or where does it make sense to plumbing, anything, right? If you don't have that spatial thinking, you're going to be really bad at that job.
Okay.
You're going to get burnt out. You're going to wonder why you're working harder than everyone else.
And how do we test that?
There's an aptitude test. You take an aptitude test.
Oh, okay.
You can work with any Rockport career coach or anyone who uses aptitude testing, and it's like an IQ test. And then we have specific numbers, and we can see exactly where you are compared to other people. And I've had so many people in fields like electricity, like dentistry, who were like, I don't know, I know I'm bad at this. And then we do a test, and it's like they have so little spatial skill. You feel like you must have been working so hard to try to compensate people who could they're wearing 3D glasses. They just see it in front of them. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. Anything else?
There's so many things. There's so many things that we test for. Yeah. I mean, we test for something called rate of idea flow, right? For me, this was the number one thing that I found out, that I understood that I wasn't like ADD. Maybe I'm still ADD, but I found myself getting very bored doing special ed, because when you're a teacher or working with kids, the most important thing is to do the same thing, consistency.
Yeah.
Right? And with someone with high rate of idea flow, which means that you come up with ideas really quickly, I want a place where I can keep coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
I think I'm that way.
Probably. Usually people who can do podcasts on the fly or anything spontaneous usually have a high rate of idea flow, because even if I answer the question completely different than you expected, you're just going to come up with another question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like my favorite thing to do is a live Q&A. I just did one this week, and it was like people telling me their whole situation, and then on the spot I'm coming up with a business idea for them.
Right. Wow.
And that's easy for me because I think of ideas really fast.
Right.
Right? Now, if you have low rate of idea flow, you want work where you don't have to come up with ideas quickly. So if you're going to be a graphic designer and you're expected to come up with 10 designs in an hour, you're going to lose your job,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, you're a LinkedIn star. I think you have, the last time I checked, almost 30,000 followers, maybe more, like around 30,000.
I don't check. I honestly stopped like sending out invitations a few years ago, and
Okay.
I accept invitations.
And it's at around 30, right?
I
30,000?
think in the mid-20s. In the mid-20s. I don't think that high yet. Yeah.
Have you seen a lot of business from LinkedIn?
Like all of my business.
All of your business is from like the actual
All
people.
of my business comes from LinkedIn, and any business that I have from other places originally came from LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. You do it yourself? You have a manager?
No, I don't. No one touches my LinkedIn. It's mine.
Okay.
I have an
very good.
assistant who answers messages to make sure
Right.
that people get responded to.
That's very nice.
But that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll share a personal journey. Like I offer Instagram for companies, and now I want to get into the LinkedIn space. But for me personally, as popular as I am, as many followers as I have, I never saw major business for myself from there. I got a few clients. They paid me nice money, so I've seen it, but I'm not sure how effectively it is. Is it effective in people getting to know me? Yes. Like I show up to a show, and especially in the beginning, everybody.
I mean,
knew
I wouldn't have known you if not for LinkedIn.
Right.
But I met you at
So-
an event. I
yeah.
knew who you were right away, only because of LinkedIn.
Right. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
that's where I can cash out, and then I have you on the podcast, and then
Leads to
things.
future.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, I see multiple benefits. Actually, the COO of Weber Media, I found her through social media.
Nice.
Like she reached out to me. She's like, "Do you have a position?" I was like, "Yes, I have a position." And it was probably the best hire I ever made. I mean,
So what service are you would you like to get
So-
clients on LinkedIn?
to do LinkedIn management, just like I do Instagram management, and it's working really well. Like we do Klein's Ice Cream and Cravey and like really big food companies,
Mm-hmm.
but also Eichler's, Judaica, or like different big
So-
companies,
Yeah.
and it works really well.
So Instagram is really good for visual businesses.
Right.
Like ice cream on LinkedIn,
Right.
not going to do
Oh,
nearly as good
so-
as Instagram, where you
right.
can see the ice cream, right?
That's right. So it's completely a new thing, but being that we have the system of how to work with a client, how to deal with them, how to deliver them results, all these things, the customer service, the professionalism that we bring to Instagram, we can
Right.
also bring that to LinkedIn. We
Right, I
have now a
think it's a different kind
copywriter,
of-
we have now the team, we have a graphic team. Like we can do all of these things technically for LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I think it's a different kind of businesses do well, more like B2B, right? Like
Right.
we're like they're business people. So if you're a salesperson, like people who do well, like they're selling something to people who work in commercial real estate, or like what I do is like people are there for careers, right? But I think it's a very different clientele.
The LinkedIn.
Yeah, the people who can build their businesses successfully on LinkedIn are very
Right.
different than Instagram.
Okay, interesting. Right, I agree. Bless me. I'm curious, like, when it comes to consulting, I'm guessing that you also consult people that are in the middle of a career and they want to, like, elevate it or something, right?
Most of my clients are mid-career.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say if I tell you, so do you elevate me or you elevate, let's say, my business?
If you're already in business.
Yes.
So both. Like
Okay.
you are the biggest factor in your business. So you growing is going to make your business grow,
Right.
right? Like
Okay.
automatically.
Right. So can we talk about my business?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is for me a free
Free
coaching
consult. There we go.
consult, and it's for people to see what you do. So I now have a business. We have close to 30 clients,
Mm-hmm.
30, I would say 30 accounts, because some clients have a few accounts with us. And we have a team now of about 10 people.
Okay.
So there's our operations manager / COO, whatever. She runs the system. We have a lead content creator, plus another 2 content creators. Is this even relevant for my question, by the
I'm
way?
not sure.
Okay.
Maybe.
Then we have 3 or 4 account managers. These are so there's girls that are creating the content, or women that are creating the content, meaning they go to the store, they edit it, the videos, the captions, all these things. And then there are people that are posting the videos to the account and doing all the engagement, answering messages, doing the day-to-day work. Then there's a LinkedIn writer, then there's a copywriter, whatever, editor. So it's a team of about 10 people.
Okay.
The question is, I don't know, am I on the right track? Am I not? I mean,
So are you having fun?
Yes,
Okay, enough?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Because I'll tell you why I have
What does
fun.
Ellie do? Yeah.
Because okay, great question. So that's a great question. So the first question is I'm having fun because I don't have to be busy with the business all day.
Okay.
So I'm grateful to have like I said, our operations manager is great and she does everything. I don't
Okay,
have
but
to
I'm
be
hearing a negative. I'm not hearing a positive yet.
why?
Like, well, no, that's a good thing. It's a positive thing, but like, it's fun because I don't have to do it. Okay, but what's fun that you do?
Oh, for me, what's fun?
Yeah.
I would say growing the team, like getting the new clients.
So you're the sales. You're great at sales.
So yeah, so I do this. So you asked what I do. I do sales. Yes.
You just bring in the
I-
clients. You sell them.
Correct. We interview and hire, and I'm usually involved in the interview and in the
For
hiring
yourself.
process.
Not for other people.
Not for other people. We hire for our team for
Right,
our
right, right.
media,
Okay, so that's all people. So far, I'm hearing people, sales, people, hiring. What else?
and then dealing with my team, just
Good.
people.
So what are your business goals? Because like it seems like you're doing great. So, but there's obviously a next step that you want to get to.
Yes,
So what's the next step?
more clients and more and a bigger team
Perfect.
and
so,
more money, obviously.
well, that goes
Because
hopefully together.
because for the first few clients, it was just either covering or even not covering. Now
Okay,
that
just
we
investing.
yes,
Yeah, you're
now that
definitely
we reached,
futuristic.
yeah,
Yeah.
now that we reached more clients, there's obviously a little bit more money in the company, so there's finally a cash flow, and the more clients that we have, the more money there's going to be, and the more monthly profit the company will have.
So how long have you been doing this?
2 years and a few months.
And before that,
I was in construction.
for how long?
3-4 years.
And before that?
I was in yeshiva.
Perfect. Okay. And you left construction because you wanted to make more money. You didn't like it.
I
you
left
didn't see
construction
potential?
because I said this is stupid to make somebody to make somebody money while I can be the one making money.
Okay. So your goal was to have your own business and
Right.
control how much money you can make.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So that's a good
That's
goal.
why I have multiple sources of income, by the way.
Amazing.
Like different things, whether it's the merch or the podcast or the vlogs that I do.
You want to control your financial destiny.
Yeah.
You want to be able to have unlimited revenue streams from multiple sources. Beautiful. Okay. So now let's say it's however many years from now and you have, I don't know, you went from 30 to 60, 100, 500, 1,000 accounts. You're running the best accounts in the world. Are you happy?
If I'm making money,
Well, say who would be like a client that you can't imagine ever getting? Name me a client.
Coca-Cola.
Okay, Coca-Cola. So they're your client, right? It's
Yeah.
however many years, and you're still in your sweatpants showing up to meetings, and like you mentioned that now you're rich enough that you can show up wherever you want. So you're showing up, and they're hiring you to do, and you're running their Instagram account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, is it fun? Absolutely, because it's at the end of the day, it's creative work, and I love creative work. So meaning, I would absolutely love to sit in the office and sit with 20 people over there and discuss what are we going to do for Coca-Cola, which influencer are we going to work with, what strategy are we going to do, what kind of content are we going to do, how are we going to help them gain followers, how are we going to help them.
And you're going to come up with an amazing strategy, and then they're going to sell even more Coke in even more countries and get even more people to the dentist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it sounds like fun, yeah.
Perfect. So then you're on the right track. And then would you look there and be like, what's next? This is so boring. Or you'd be like, this is fun. I could do this for the rest of my life.
You know, it's funny that you ask. It's because it is a good question. I would say it sounds a little bit boring, but it is fun to work with people. So that's kind of something that I will always
So then
enjoy.
what you're saying is, if you can say that...
Maybe it's not social media, but I definitely enjoy working with people, and I definitely enjoy social media. Like I was an influencer before I opened the company for Instagram. Like I enjoyed myself to be on social media and connect with people and see what other people have to do and have to say. So I'm happy to help companies do that for their brand.
So really what you love doing is connecting and helping other people kind of share their story and share what they have to say with people who can make them money and people who they're going to make a difference to. Okay. So then you're saying that you get the best customers. Eventually you hire other people to do that, right? And you have so much money in so many different investment avenues and so many homes around the world, and you're like so set and you still have extra time, are you still going to choose to go to those kind of meetings just because it's fun for you?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Then great.
If I'm the boss and I have this big glass building and there's 50 people on the floor just working creatively.
Yeah, like will you sit on your beach, or will you actually be like, you know what? I could roll into a meeting at 1:00, like 2-hour meeting with lunch. Sounds like fun. Like that would be, I can't think of something better to do with my day.
Yeah, I would say it sounds like fun.
Amazing.
Okay.
You're
So
doing
I'm
great.
on the right track.
You're on the right track. You want to build a huge influencer brand. You want to help other people build a big influencer brand.
And I also think it's very millennial driven. It's very modern, especially in our community.
Time.
Almost nobody does it. Like
yeah.
it's
No, you were born in the right time. Imagine if it would have been 50 years ago. Like, what would you have done? Yeah. But I think
this meeting feels better, better than having a physical. The doctor saying everything's fine with you, or a dentist checkup, like all good, no cavities. Yeah, you sure? No cavities. This is what I feel like now.
Good.
Like, yes, your dream is protected. Your destiny is set in stone. Like, you're doing the right career.
Well, I think the answer always is, and I ask myself this question, if I get to a place where I literally don't need the income, will this still be fun for me? And every day that my answer is still yes, then I still should be doing that thing.
Right. Wow. Yeah, we do have like bi-weekly meetings with our entire team, and so it's like a meeting on Zoom. Obviously everybody's working now remote, but we do have a Zoom meeting, so that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And
and the fact
so
that we come down and visit people in person, and we get to do things like this. And then I think that the other area where I would help someone would be like, are each of your employees in the same position? Could they say, I wake up every morning and do something that uses my perfect talents and is the best expression of myself? Because ideally, if they are, they stay with you, they're happy, they grow with you, they can do more. So like if their destiny is aligned with where they fit into your destiny, that's the perfect employee-employee relationship.
Right. That is amazing what you just said, because I really tried to explain to my own employees that, first of all, I call them teammates always. I never call them employees. I feel like I'm an employee in God's business. They can call me boss if they want, because that's up to them. If they want to say, oh, he's my boss and he's a good person, like, I'm okay with that. But I call them teammates. I never call. I don't feel like, because I feel like employee feels like I employed you, or you belong for me, you work for me. You don't work for me. You work with me. And I'm happy to say that many of these employees were, in the context of employees, they were moved up in their career. So
beautiful.
Many of them, and I've told it to them. Like when I hired them, I told them, like, this is something that has space for you to grow. And I also said, you're not working for me, you're working with me. Like,
no, and I love how you're seeing it. You're seeing it as a mutually beneficial relationship, where a lot of employers look at, like, I'm God, and like, you follow my instructions and I'll feed you and your family if you really act nice, right?
No, I never saw it that way. And I also pay very nicely. Like, my starting price is a lot. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to give that. I'm happy to charge our clients more and tell them, here's a premium service. You're not going to deal with somebody overseas. You're dealing with a Heimish woman that actually has a kosher family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, no, when you look at people that way, then they, like, that's the way it is, because I speak to employees all the time, right? And, like, they're not going to stay if they're not treated 100%. Well, if it's not aligned with their mission, if it's not aligned with their income potential, with their financial goals, like, they're not going to stay. It never works out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate, by the way, because these bosses don't even know how to treat an employee. Like, most of these, especially Hasidish, I think I can say, we don't know even how to treat.
But like you said, you what you don't know, you learn, and then
I saw it for myself learning. So right away when I hired a COO, I told her, and that's why she was able to help me so much. I told her, I don't know how to do this, and I noticed her saying it to people when we hired them. She would say, "You're the first one we're hiring for this specific position, so we don't even know what's right or wrong." Like, we were looking for a secretary/assistant, and she was like telling everyone we interviewed that, look, you're the first one we're hiring for this position, so we don't know we don't know how
You're
to
being
even...
transparent about like, hey, we've never done this before. We're going
Correct.
to learn together, you know?
That's what I told her when I hired her. I was like, I don't even know exactly what your job is, so we're
Right.
going to figure it out
I
together.
deal with the employers who I work with are the kind of people who are bringing in a consultant, usually really invest in their employees, really care, and they'll have me come in and assess their employees. And it's kind of like they're giving them a gift. Like I've had employees who reached out to me privately, and then their employer said, "Oh, we're bringing in this consultant." They're like, "Oh, wow, they're paying for it. Like I
Wow.
wanted this for myself."
Yeah.
And when I work with them, when we both have the win-win mentality, the employer wants you to be happy, your
Right.
career should be successful, then it's not like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to lose my job. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be here if it's not a good fit.
Right.
And, the employer's aware of me wanting to have a good fit, and they want a person who's a good fit. And if we could all think like that, then it's really like we can just be open about what we want and
Right.
what each of our goals are, make sure they're in alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's also why we started doing these bi-weekly meetings, and before every meeting, everybody can buy themselves lunch.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and we started. This is also something that Tzipora implemented to buy birthday gifts. Whenever it's a birthday of one of our teammates, we buy them a gift.
That's nice.
So it became very...
You're investing in them personally,
Yeah.
showing that you care.
Yeah,
Right.
and I do care because I know what it means working for somebody else, and I'm grateful. I had good bosses, but I was able to see the mentality of worker employee and
Right,
what
and
they
the
f-
important
what
thing
they
is to
feel like.
remember what it feels like so that you make sure that
Yep.
you treat people that way. That's
Yes,
amazing.
so I am grateful for the few years that I worked really hard. If there's one thing that you can help as many people possible with one thing, what would that be?
Only one?
Yeah.
It would be to know that God did not put you on this earth without talents that you can turn into doing something that you enjoy that's profitable.
Wow.
And if you think that you have no skills, you are so wrong. And find a way to go figure out what you're good at, because this life is not a game that some people feel like it's like a game that they're just set up to fail. And it's absolutely not. Every person was born with a toolbox, and it's your job to figure out how to open
Wow.
it up.
Yeah. Do you have now a big goal or dream, if you want to share, that you're working on, something you're
Yeah,
working
no,
on?
my goal is to train career coaches in every school, in every city, in every
Wow.
community around the world
Right.
to be able to use this method, because people who've used this method find it extremely life-changing. And what it did for me, I think everyone deserves to get. And there's no reason nowadays that there shouldn't be someone. Rockport has coaches in India, in Mexico, in 17 countries in the world. And my goal is to expand that and, just expand what they're able to offer people.
Wow, that's fascinating. Really beautiful. Anything else that you're passionate to talk about that we didn't discuss yet? I think we
How much
covered
time
the
do we
basics.
have?
No, it's up to you. I have time, but I think you want
Well,
to...
no, I'm passionate about people getting control of their career, getting control of their financial health, getting control of their relationship health, getting control of their emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when you look at careers only and leave out the other parts of life, I've been talking about this recently, where you can't really be so successful in career if you don't have the other parts of
Right.
your life.
So talk about that. How does it intertwine, the emotional and the... Because
Right. Well, I think that emotional intelligence, right, like EQ, we know now is more important than IQ. And people who do well in the workplace
Wow.
get along with people, know how to negotiate, know how to respect other people, understand other people, are empathetic, they go much further, right?
Wow.
And the best leaders and people who have higher emotional intelligence and more
Yeah.
developed emotionally earn more money, across,
Wow.
Gallup surveys, across the board. And then I think also when a person is going through, we all go through stresses, every couple of years in your life, something's going to happen that's going to kind of be a big change, right?
Yeah.
And that's life, right? The whole thing is how do you react when you have those challenges? And so if you get the right support and have the emotional health, and whether it's finding a therapist or, working through with someone, you're going to have issues in your relationships. You're going to have issues, with your family. You're going to, if you have a family, if there's people around you, there's going to be challenges, right?
Yep.
The question is really just how you react to them and what you do. And if you have the emotional strength or get the help that you need to be able to deal with them. And that's the difference of someone whose life falls off the tracks when something happens, or someone who takes that and uses it as a stepping stone to get to a higher level in life. I think that, and I think money. Like, I think that we have this very weird mentality. People are like, I don't need to be rich. I just want to have enough. Oh, okay. So like we're gonna pour in. You're asking God to pour this, like, pour the money. No, stop. That's enough. I'm gonna be too full.
Right.
Like, what's your problem, right?
Right.
Like why do we think? I think it's actually a very like old European Christian induced philosophy that we want to be simple. It's not Jewish at all.
Yeah.
The Kohen Gadol, a Navi, anyone who was the king, anyone who was in a high position, one of the criteria was you had to be wealthy. I think that speaks for what Judaism believes about wealth. Obviously, we believe it belongs to God. Obviously, we believe that you should give tzedakah, and tzedakah is like it's not a gift. It's like it belongs to other people.
Yeah.
I think we have a way of using our money for the right thing. But like when Jews tell me that they don't need to be rich, they just want to make enough. Like I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Wow. I love that you just brought that up. I'll never forget this one time I went out with a girl, and she was saying she was saying how she wants to help so many people, and she wants to have guests every Shabbos and have people live in the house and whatever. And then a few minutes later, we had a conversation about, okay, so like what type of house would you want to live in? And she's like, yeah, I would, a nice, small, decent house. And I'm like, what? I said, like, I want to live in a nice, big house, and I want to have a lot of money. She was like, no, I'm not really that type. I said, didn't you say a minute ago that you want to like have a lot of money and give a lot of charity and have a lot of people over for Shabbos? How are you going to do that in a small house?
Well, I've seen people do that.
So I'm saying, I'm saying. So anyway, that didn't work out. But I'm saying about the mentality of it.
Right.
Was really like contradicting to her own self.
Well, no, but I think in her defense, I'm going to speak up for her.
Okay.
I think she meant that I don't need a lot. Like, I don't need expensive jewelry. I don't need a fancy car. I don't need a fancy kitchen. But I don't mind making money and giving to other people, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Okay,
Yeah.
So if she's listening.
I think she's married already.
But I think that's the review Yehuda Nasi. He said that he had a table filled with everything from everywhere, which wasn't possible in those days, only if you were very wealthy. And he said, I didn't touch it with my pinky.
Wow.
So to have it, but not to have a materialistic life, which is that's, I think, the ideal Jewish balance.
Very nice. I love that you went over there because people really do have an issue with being successful. That's a main reason why people don't pursue their dreams.
People are afraid of making too much money, which is true. You do lose friends when you make a lot more money than them. But you know what? Bring up your friends and become, part of a society where you're all growing, and it doesn't mean having a materialistic. I don't mean that everyone should have yachts and jets, right?
Yeah.
Or big houses. If you want, you use it for that as long as you're sharing it with other people. But I think the mentality is that let me give and become as much as I could.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, wait, we have to end. What?
Yeah.
No, Rafi's out. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Perfect. Sorry. Yeah, okay.
So
that's going to be edited, I guess. Yeah.
thank you very No, we don't have to edit it. It's fine. I keep it casual or whatever, as long as we didn't see people. Thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate you for watching, and I really appreciate you, Mrs. Shaina Keren, for giving us your time. Like, we scheduled this 3 months ago. So she is a really busy person. So if you watched it and you made it till here, give her a thanks and leave a like and share it with a friend that can enjoy or is looking for their career. Subscribe to the channel, be a part of it. Also, if you want to buy this tumbler, it says on one side there's the positivity logo, and on the other side it says drink in positivity. So it's a really nice tumbler, and it works. I put in a tea this morning and it's still warm, so it's ready in the afternoon, so it works. We also have mugs that say I don't give a whatever. I just live that way. I don't give a whatever. I think that's very important. And there's also hoodies and lots of nice things. If you want, you can support the channel by purchasing something like that. Also, if you want to get in touch with Mrs. Shaina Keren, we're going to put her website. What's the best way? The website?
Sure, yeah, it's just ShainaKeren.com or LinkedIn. Yeah,
or
very
LinkedIn.
easy. I think I'm the only person on LinkedIn with that name.
What?
So.
With Shaina Keren?
Yep.
Yeah? Oh, wow. So, yeah, it is a unique, nice name. It's
yep.
like you hear it once, you remember it. Also, if you want to connect with me on WhatsApp, the link is going to be in the description. And or with any of my social media platforms. And one more thing, thank you for hosting us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for
This is
coming down.
your
It's such a
office in
treat.
Monsey.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much.